right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Fluffy Misery. Been telling the story of Story Master Huck and his adventurers as they make their way through Wildmount. Our previous adventures took the group through a dangerous swamp on a rescue mission, and now our group has made their way to the Great Jagao Games. The adventurers are working their way through the contests and attempt to get to the final event and the big prize. Not that anyone has bothered to ask what the prize is. This brings us to where we left off, and our story begins again. Let me tell you a story. Roll a d20 and give me a constitution save. What do we do next? Booma yelled over the crowd. We have to wait for the closing ceremonies. They'll count our medals and see which groups go on to the final contest, Duke yelled back. According to the signs, we have some time. Drink up and enjoy, Warsaw said, raising his glass to toast his newfound friends. Music soon replaced the sounds of the arm wrestling competition. Contestants and townsfolk began trickling into the tavern. The sound of laughter and good-hearted conversation filled the air as mugs of ale spilled onto the tables. The smell of meat pies wafted through the door as Maggie walked in with the remnants of her competition. The pies were quickly passed out, and the tavern-goers filled their bellies. A cool breeze was the herald of evening and gently tickled the crowd. With it came the sound of a rhythmic drumming that beckoned everyone to the center of town. As the crowds made their way to the bustling center of town, groups of competitors were seen counting their medals and holding their prizes aloft. The adventurers pushed through the throng, certain of their imminent victory. They approached a platform of wooden crates in the center of the road. Drummers were positioned on either side of the makeshift platform, and an elderly orc in deep blue priest robes stands on top of the crates. When the priest felt it was time, he motioned the drummers to silence. A hush overcame the crowd as they waited for him to speak. Contestants, you have proven your worth in our great games, but only 2 groups will advance to the final event in the Emerald Grotto. In its depths, the greatest prize awaits. The crowd erupts in cheers, and the priest holds his hand up to silence them. Elder Kobu Kaz and I will choose the 2 teams worthy of attempting a race through the underwater grotto to retrieve a jewel that symbolizes the spirit of Jagao, the Emerald Eye. The winners will receive 100 gold pieces and be hailed as the city's champions. The crowd erupts in cheers again as he leans down to speak with an elder orc beneath him. They whisper and point into the crowd, nod in agreement, and the priest straightens. We have made our decision. These 2 teams have shown the true competitive spirit of Jagao. He points to the adventurers and a familiar-looking group. Irvin is a familiar face among them. Come, winners, your final competition awaits. I can't believe we made it, Gub said, shaking his head in disbelief. Gub, why are you always so negative? Mila asked. Nicola butted in. I always knew we'd make it to the final game. I mean, look at us. We're the most mismatched group, Gub said. Well, it wouldn't be much fun if we were all the same, Warsoul said. The 2 groups follow the priest as he makes his way through town. The gathered crowds follow behind, their cheers and yells urging the groups forward. They make their way to the southeastern edge of the city. They reach the lake, and the elders stride through the shallows to a small island just off the shore. The elder takes them to the small island. When he reaches the beach, he sets down several potions in the soft sands. The water-breathing potions last for 1 hour. Do not dally in your return, the elder warns. He takes a few steps more and stops before a mouth of a cave. He turns to address the crowds. You have all triumphed in the games. Now the final test awaits you. He pulls a small gold and emerald amulet from his pocket. This metal's twin is hidden in the deepest cavern of the Emerald Grotto. Be the first team to find it and return it to this place to be declared the champions. The teams rush for the mouth of the cave, the adventurers making it before the rivals. Let's go, yells Doog, shoving Gub forward and rushing for the mouth of the cave. The others race to catch up with Doog. Doog reaches the cave first and finds a pool of water in what appears to be a dead end. Never a dead end when you can breathe underwater, they declared, and dove into the pool. Doog, wait, Booma yelled as she watched Doog disappear into the water. You should probably take your water-breathing potions, Nicola tells the group. That's what I was thinking. Hurry, before we lose Doog, said Warsoul, tossing back his potion and diving into the water behind Doog. The others follow his lead and quickly dive into the waters. After a moment, their eyes adjust to the darkness, and they see a tunnel leading out of the pool and deeper inside the cavern. The adventurers make their way through the tunnel, and it opens up to reveal a cavern filled with kelp. A small hole in the ceiling lets a little light trickle through the thick green kelp. Doog is just inside the cavern's entrance, trapped in the thick mass. They are attempting to cut the plants with their dagger. Mila shakes her head, and Booma rolls their eyes at Doog's predicament. But, unable to speak underwater, they carefully make their way through the thick kelp. When they reach the other side, they see 2 cave entrances. Warsoul holds up his finger for the group to wait a moment. Silvery magic drips from his fingertips and into the group's ears. I think this might help us, his voice tickled the group's minds. That is better. It would have been a very quiet trip, Mila said. I'm coming, they hear Doog slashing their way through the kelp. It makes for a good lunch, but a terrible thing to swim through. They appear from the mass of kelp, bits of green sticking out of their clothing. We should try to confuse the other group, Gub suggested. We could take those stones and make an arrow pointing up to the opening in the ceiling, suggested Nicola. Maybe that will buy us some time, Warsoul said. We still need to choose which direction we are going, said Doog. Let's gather the rocks and decide while we work. This will only take a moment, Mila said. Booma, looking truly unhappy, chose to stay at the fork in the cave. They helped form the arrow as the group brought them rocks. Let's take the right one. We don't want to think too hard. We just need to get moving, said Nicola. Let me see if the magic can give me any clues. Warsoul reached his hands out and blue magic reached out from his fingertips. The magic raced down the 2 paths. Warsoul squinted as if trying to see something. I can feel the current running through the left path. But that's all I'm getting, he told the group. Good enough for me, Doog said and led the way through the cave on the left. Doog just keeps pushing forward. It's like they don't care what's ahead, Gub said. I don't think they do, said Booma. Doog is just a take action kind of fish. They're just moving their story along, Nicola added. It looks a little dark in there, said Mila. You can't see in the dark? Booma asked. No, said Mila. Just hold on to my cloak. We can't light a torch underwater, Booma said, holding out the end of their cloak. The adventurers followed Doog through the left tunnel. This tunnel widens, and the group sees bioluminescent algae glowing blue on the walls. If anyone can't see, grab some algae. It should help, Duke called to the group behind. That's a good idea, Mila said, grabbing a chunk of algae from the wall and placing it in a jar from her pack. I'll grab some too. You never know when you need some glowing algae, said Booma, taking a jar or two for themselves. The blue glow of the algae gave a mystical appearance to the cavern. The party reached two tall pillars at the exit of the cavern. White glowing grass shimmered just before the exit. I think I see something shiny in that grass, said Gub. No time, hollered Doog, passing the grass and entering the dark tunnel ahead. I'll use my magic to grab it as we swim by, offered Warsoul. He reached out his hand, and from his fingertips, a ghostly hand appeared. It grabbed the small, shiny object and brought it to Gub as the party moved into the darkness. It was a gold coin. Look at what you almost missed, Doog, Gub said smugly. If we win, we will get a prize much larger than the one gold coin, Doog said, disappearing into the darkness. Roll me a d20 and give me an insight check. The party moves through the dark cavern, lit only by the soft blue glow of the algae in jars. They enter another large cavern with hundreds of small fish swimming in a column in the center of the room. I'll speak to them. Maybe they're friendly, Booma suggested. They hold their feathered fingers to their temple. Can you hear me, little ones? The fish stop their swimming and turn to look at the adventurers. This doesn't look good, started Gub. For once, I think you might be right, agreed Nicola. Hungry, the fish responded in Booma's head. They said they're hungry, Booma translated to the group. They're going to eat us, said Mila, pulling her sword from its sheath. Doog reached into their pack and pulled out the last remaining walking salad. Roll me a d20 and give me a history check. Doog quickly swims over to one side of the cavern, away from the exit and the party. They sprinkle the walking salad into the water and quickly swim back toward the other adventurers. The fish race to the scattered greens and begin shredding the plants, their sharp teeth glistening in the algae's blue light. Get to the next room, Doog whispers urgently to the group. You don't have to ask me twice, Gub mutters, and the adventurers make a frantic swim to the next room. The hungry fish ignore their flea and continue to eat bits of lettuce left behind. This tunnel opens into a large cavern. The walls have been worn smooth by years of water gently pushing against the stone. Silvery light reflects off the walls like an eerie mirror. The water is a little warmer, and the current gently pulls the adventurers forward. This must be the end, Booma says as they survey the area. It has to be the end, said Doog. How can you tell? Asked Nicola. I see the amulet on that shark's neck, Doog said, pointing to a massive shark lurking behind a stone pillar in the center of the room. A silver spear sticks out of his back. Beyond the shark, hovering at another cave entrance, is the rival party. They look like they're trying to come up with a plan, or wait for the adventurers to wear down the shark before heading out. Oh no, it looks injured. We should help it, Booma said. Let me try to speak with it. They hold their feathered fingers to their temple and look deeply into the shark's eyes. Can you hear me? We want to help you, Booma said. The shark, hearing the voice, whips around and faces the party. I don't think it's a friendly shark, Gub said. I think it's in pain and afraid, said Booma. Let's get that spear out and try not to hurt it more. I'm not going to do that, Gub said and readied his crossbow. I'll get behind it and remove the gem, said Doog, dashing away from the group and ending up behind the shark. The shark moves toward the weapon-wielding Gub. His intentions are clear on his large, toothy face. As the shark moves away from Doog, they grab onto the rope that secures the amulet to the shark and begin cutting it away. The shark draws closer to Gub, Warsol, and Nicola. Mila, Booma, and Zavalor move to get between the rivals and the shark. Green light began glowing at Warsol's fingers and stretched toward the shark. Nicola prepared to grab the spear from the creature's back when it got close enough. Gub raised his bow and took aim. Warsol's spell wrapped the beast in green light that quickly faded. The shark turned to Booma. "It hurts," it told her. "I know," Booma said. "Let us help." At that moment, Doog removed the amulet from the shark and held it aloft for the rest of the group to see. They began pulling at the spear. The shark thrashed away from the pain. It hit the tall columns in the center of the room, smashing the stones and sending the column crashing to the ground. The adventurers dodged falling stones and debris, only receiving small bruises and cuts. When the collapse subsided, the adventurers saw the shark trapped beneath the stones, and a large crack washed in soft yellow light had appeared on the wall of the cave behind the beast. The rival parties, seeing the trapped shark and passageway, had begun to swim for the new cave. "I'll take care of the shark." No, you take care of the shark. "I'll check out the new cave," shouted Doog as they quickly made their way to the opening. Booma, Warsol, Nicola, Mila, and Gub made their way to the trapped shark. Nicola grabbed the spear while Booma and Warsol tried to comfort the beast. Nicola removed the spear, and the party began removing the stones. "This is a good idea. I'm still pretty sure the shark wants to eat us," Gub said. "Gub, he is clearly asking for help. Look at his face," Booma said. "When he eats us all," Gub started. "Just keep moving stones. We need to make it out of here before the potions run out and we all drown," Booma snapped. They continued to free the shark while Doog made their way into the passageway. They squeezed through the tight passage until it takes an abrupt turn upward. Light bathed Doog in a golden warmth as they swam closer to the source. Doog breaks the surface of the water and emerged bathed in a golden light. They see a large cavern with an island filled with vines and green ivy and colorful flowers. In the middle of the island is a crystal pedestal that holds a golden pendant attached to a fine golden chain. Mesmerized by the pendant as it glitters and reflects golden light, Doog gets out of the water and reaches for the pendant. The rest of the party free the shark. After a tense moment and much temple pointing, Booma said, "His name is Doug, and he doesn't know how he ended up in this cave, or who stabbed him. He would like to go home." "As soon as Doog gets out of that passageway, we'll get you home," Warsol told the shark. "What do you think Doog is doing down there? Should we go help?" Mila asked. "I think Doog is fine. Somehow they're always fine," Nicola said. "Look at the rivals. They look so scared of Doug," Gub said. "You were afraid too," Booma began. The party was washed in a bright light. They see a spectral human male rising from an amulet. He is dressed in leather armor and a tattered red cape. A shield is strapped to his back. His long, curly brown hair cascades down his cheeks, emphasizing his forlorn expression. "I am imprisoned. Please help," he says. The ground vanishes from beneath the adventurers' feet. They fall through a tunnel of golden light, and after what feels like an eternity, they stop their fall. The golden light dissipates and leaves the adventurers in darkness. They feel the water holding them close, the only feeling in a dark, empty world. A red light appears on the horizon. The man in the red cape appears in the distance. This time he is shackled to the ground by a fleshy crimson substance. The man raises his face to the sky and cries, "Moonweaver, I beg of you, guide those with the power to save me to the site where I first prayed to you." He looks around, and his gaze settles on the adventurers. "The gods have answered my prayers. You have come. My name is Axelian. I am lost in darkness. Long ago, I prayed to the Changebringer in the heart of a temple of evil. I beg you, take my jewel and..." The adventurers begin to feel the weight of the water pushing down on their bodies. The crushing weight forcing their last breath from them. They fall unconscious. The voice of Axion follows them into their unconsciousness. "Save me. Please." The adventurers awaken, still in the cave and underwater. The rivals are still keeping their distance from Doug. Doug puts the amulet around their neck and hides it beneath their shirt, and slowly swims out of the cave. "How long were we unconscious?" they ask. I don't know," said Booma. "We need to get you air breathers out of here," Doug said. "Hello, Shark. Are you coming with us?" he asked the beast. "He says yes," Booma translated. "Are they coming with us?" Doug asked, pointing to the rivals. "Are you coming with us?" asked Nicola, in the rivals' direction. After a moment of head nods, shakes, and hand gestures, the rivals nod their heads in agreement and slowly come out of their hole. "Don't worry, Doug is a nice shark. He's going to come with us," Warsoul said, trying to reassure the rivals. They didn't look reassured, but they came forward anyway. "Let's head out before you run out of air," Doug said, and started off the way they came. Doug follows close behind, and the rest of the adventurers follow behind the shark. The rivals keep their distance and stay to the back of the party. They reach the cave with the school of hungry fish. "Doug, can you help us out with these mean little fish?" Booma asked the shark. The massive shark moved ahead and toward the fish. Spotting the shark, the small fish panic. In a flurry of silver, the small creatures darted for cracks, disappearing down passageways and tucked into any corner they could find. Doug looked at Booma and gave them a toothy grin. "That's not terrifying or anything," Gubb said, seeing the shark smile. "Be nice," Booma admonished. The group moves to the other side of the cavern and begins to make their way through the glowing passage. Doug attempts to fit through the passage and finds he cannot continue the journey. "Doug says he can't fit," Booma says. "Tell him we'll find a way to get him out. He can't be from this cave. There isn't enough food for such a large beast," Nicola says. "I bet someone from the contest put him here," Mila added. "They should know how to get him out." Booma relays the party's message to Doug and gives the beast a pat on the nose. "We'll get you out. If the contest people can't do it, we'll find a way. Don't worry." They leave the shark behind and continue through the glowing algae passage to the kelp cavern. They make their way through the thick kelp and get to the surface and the waiting city. As the adventurers breach the surface, the gathered city cheers. Doug holds the ruby amulet aloft to show them who the winners are and helps the others out of the water. "We have our champions," the elder priest declared. "These fine people are the champions of the city." He turns to the adventurers. "Please, join us for a complimentary night at the Unbroken Tusk Inn and rest. In the morning, we will have a feast and celebrate your great victory." He turns to the rivals. You have shown true merit in getting as far as you did. Please stay at the inn for the evening and join us for the morning feast. The crowd begins to head back to town and the wonderful parties they had planned. Their laughter filled the early evening air. The elder priest, the rivals, and the adventurers stayed behind to let the crowd disperse. We need to get Doug out of the caves. He doesn't like it in there, Booma told the priest when things had quieted down. Who is Doug? The priest asked. The shark, Nicholas supplied. Oh, he must just be a little confused. We have been friends for some time. I will return him to his home in the morning, the priest responded. Wait, you were friends and you stuck a spear in his back? Gubb asked in disbelief. I did no such thing, the priest snapped. I put the amulet around his neck and placed him in the grotto yesterday unharmed. I will look into the matter and figure out who attacked my friend. The adventurers looked at the priest in confusion. Someone had gone into the grotto, attacked Doug in the past day, and left the amulet around his neck. They wondered if the person had been looking for something, or maybe they had something to do with the vision they had seen. They decided to wait and see how the story played out. Roll me a d20 and give me an insight check. The priest began to head back to the city, leaving the adventurers and their rivals on the beach. The sun was almost set, and a cool breeze was beginning to chill the adventurers. Well played, Zavalor said, turning to the rivals and holding out his furry hand. It was a good game. The water genasi from the rival party held out her hand to shake Zavalor's. I don't think we've ever been properly introduced. My name is Ao. I believe you've met Irvin? She points to the small human male who has joined them at the rice-picking contest. She then points to a large ogre woman, a goblin, a drow in wizard's clothes. This is Maggie Keen-Eyes, Dermot, Zavalier, and Galastrid. Nice to meet all of you. I'm Zavalor, Zavalor said, shaking each of their hands. The others followed suit, and the introductions were completed. Zavalor stood chatting with the rivals, and the rest of the adventurers pulled away slightly. Zavalor and Zavalier look a lot alike, Gubb said. It is uncanny, Nicola responded, unable to stop staring at the pair. Maybe they're related, Mila offered. They're cat people. They all look alike, Doog offered. They're all furry, bad swimmers, and have claws. Doog, they do not all look alike, Booma responded, horrified. Doog shrugged their shoulders. Should we make our way to the inn? It will be dark soon. We probably should, Booma said. Is everyone ready to go? They asked. Everyone responded with a resounding yes, and the adventurers and their rivals began making their way back to the city. Doog stopped a few congratulatory citizens to sell them colored baskets and blown glass figurines. The citizens purchased the items unenthusiastically and would quickly walk away from the rest of the group. Soon the number of people stopped stopping by to congratulate the adventurers. Roll me a d20 and give me a perception check. As the groups made their way to the inn, they made friendly conversation. Zavalor and Zavalier were chatting about their childhoods. Warsoul and Gladriel were talking about their spells. The others discussed parts of the Emerald Grotto that they found the most difficult. I used a salad to keep the silver fish from eating us, Doog told Ao. That was a good idea. Your team really has a way with animals. We were so sure you'd be eaten by that shark, Ao responded. Ah, Doug, Doug was a nice shark. He was just having a really bad day, Booma shared. The one part that really had us stumped was the arrow of rocks that pointed up near the two cave entrances. It took us a moment to figure out that up was not a way we could go. I wonder why the contest creators would try to trick the contestants. Ao looked suspiciously at the adventurers. We saw that too. We thought it was really weird, but Warsoul cast a spell and told us to go left. So we did, said Mila. Ah, I see, said Ao. We chose to go right. There was an octopus that was just mean. I think left might have been an easier path. I think both had their challenges, said Nicola. Did any of you figure out what that voice was? Ao asked. What voice? Doog asked. The voice of the man calling for help in the shark cavern, Ao added. I have no idea what that could have been, Doog said. What was that in the glowing crack you found behind the shark? Ao pushed. Nothing much. Just a beautiful cavern filled with vines. The glowing light was the hole in the ceiling, letting the sun through. There was a water-breathing potion in there. Doog held up the potion the priest had given them at the beginning of the contest. Eyeing him with suspicion, but slightly believing the lie, Ao nodded. Huh, what a silly place to leave a potion. It could come in handy if you were down there too long. The contest creators may have left it in there in case of emergency, Doog said. They might have, Ao said, believing his tale a little more. The groups arrived at the inn just after dark. I think we're going to turn in for the night, Ao said, yawning as they entered the inn lobby. We'll see you in the morning. Sleep well, Booma said. Turning to the rest of her group, Booma said, I think we should find a quiet place to have a drink. I think we have a lot to talk about, Nicola added. The group grabbed some ale and headed to one of their rooms. After making sure the door was locked and that no one was hiding in the closet, the adventurers found a place to sit. Duke, what happened in that cave? We all saw the vision of a man calling for help, Booma asked. There was this amulet on a pedestal, Duke began, pulling the amulet from their shirt. When I took it, the vision happened. It was the strangest thing. And now I'm feeling a little stronger. I wonder what else it does, Warsoul said, leaning in to take a closer look. I don't know. Maybe it just makes me stronger, Doog suggested, and began examining and shaking the amulet. After a moment, Doog vanished. The group stood in shock and stared, looking around. Doog, are you still there? Booma asked. I am here. Can you not see me? Doog asked. Nope. You seem to have disappeared, Warsoul added. Try stabbing a pillow. Some invisibility spells when you attack something. Doog reappeared after a moment, fist smashed into a pillow. This might come in handy, they said, nodding their head in approval. I wonder if it can do anything else. They shake it a bit more and rub it. I don't think it does anything else. It does feel light, maybe, they began. The amulet lit up, filling the room with a bright light. Trying to squint with no eyelids was uncomfortable for Doog. Stop! They shouted. The amulet went dim. I don't ever want that to happen again, Doog said, shaking their head. That might just come in handy. Maybe just be ready for it next time, Mila suggested. So, we have a magic amulet and a man who says he's been imprisoned and needs help. Booma brought the party back to their original topic. Yes, Warsoul said, still looking at the amulet with excitement. What are we going to do about this imprisoned man? Thank you for joining me. Have an absolutely wonderful day.